Hi, my name is Nancy Barrickman, and I am your lecture instructor for human anatomy. So it's pretty typical for this course in just like what we call normal human anatomy. So this would be, human anatomy of somebody who doesn't have any trauma or disease. So what you'll find though is bodies vary. Like no two bodies are exactly the same. That's true anatomically and physiologically in a lot of different ways, but that doesn't mean they're not healthy. Like there can be many different forms of a healthy body. That's what we're going to be examining in this class. And what you'll find is the people who teach this like baseline human anatomy class often have zero clinical experience, which may seem kind of strange because I am willing to bet that all of you are planning a career in healthcare if you're not already working in healthcare, which I will find out. When you fill out the questionnaire below, you'll let me know like your experience in healthcare already and what you're planning to do. And I bet that all of you are planning healthcare because I've only had one student in 6 years who wasn't. He was studying anatomy because he's an artist, which is really interesting. Um, so anyway, that may seem strange that people with no clinical experience usually teach anatomy. And that's true of a lot of the lecture instructors. I think all of the lecture instructors, it's like, and many of the lab instructors do not have any clinical experience. So why do we teach anatomy? Well, there's a couple of reasons. Number one, the people that have clinical experience, they're actually teaching in things like the nursing programs or the radiology tech programs or whatever. So those faculty members are, their clinical experience is sort of wasted in this class because they know a lot more about trauma and disease. So it makes a lot more sense for them to just teach you trauma and disease and you to walk in their door having this like baseline fundamental knowledge, foundational knowledge of what is a healthy body look like. And then you can start looking at what happens when things go wrong. So their clinical experience is, kind of wasted, honestly, in a class like this. That said, I love to do clinical stuff here and there. When we have time, we don't have time to do a lot, but now and then I'll be teaching some anatomy and then I'll talk about some pathological condition because it kind of helps to learn what the normal structure should be by examining what happens when things are not okay. It's kind of helpful to see both as a contrast so you kind of understand what the normal healthy configuration is about. Like, why is it the way it is? You look at an unhealthy version. So the second reason that I teach this class is because I actually have a lot of experience in anatomy, even though it's not clinical. So when I was working on my PhD, I actually studied lemurs and monkeys. There's some lemurs behind me over here. I studied primates for my PhD, and I studied evolutionary biology, which included like behavior and ecology, and also some things about their anatomy, their evolutionary anatomy. So I learned a lot of anatomy of non-human primates, which is very similar actually to human anatomy. And also, while I was in grad school, one of the things that was in my department was the medical school gross anatomy. So all the graduate students had to be teaching assistants in the medical gross lab. So I do have experience teaching in a medical school, teaching this class, only the lab version. Now I'm, of course, teaching the lecture version here at Slick. So that's my experience in anatomy. I've been teaching it at Slick for a while. And then, of course, I have experience from grad school as well. But again, not a clinician. So sometimes people ask me clinical questions and I'm not sure. And I'm not sure of the answer. And we all just look it up on the web together and figure it out. But I do have, some clinical stuff that I've interspersed throughout the class when we have time. Again, don't always have enough time because we've got a lot of material to cover. So I'm going to ask you to fill out the intro questionnaire below and tell me more about you and then proceed through the course orientation. And then we'll meet very soon. Take care. Bye.